Nobody is talking about Chiefs rookie Jeffery Bassa. Coming up on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, we are going to tell you everything you need to know about the former Oregon linebacker and why he could be an impact player for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2025 and beyond. Tyler Jones, your fearless leader, here with you. Thanks for joining us here on today's program. Before we go any further in today's show, folks, let's show some love to Jeffery Bassa. Who knows if he's watching, family member, friend, whatever it may be. This happens a lot when we get new players joining the team that their people want to see what the fan base and the media is saying about them. So we want to make sure our voices are heard loud and clear, that we're rooting him on, wish him nothing but the best, and want him to be very successful here in Kansas City. Spam that like button, and we'll get started with today's show. Jeffery Bassa comes in from the Oregon Ducks after having a very successful tenure there, first in the Pac-12, then transitioning over to the Big Ten Conference. And although the Chiefs were already in a pretty good spot at the linebacker position prior to when Bassa got drafted, he does provide some depth, and he has some ways that he can help out this Kansas City Chiefs team right away. Let's get to know Bassa a little bit further here. A fifth-round pick this past season by Brett Veach and the Kansas City Chiefs out of Oregon. He was a second-team All-PAC-12 selection in 2023. And then last year, his lone season in the Big Ten Conference after Oregon made that transition, he was named an All-Big Ten honorable mention selection that past season as the Oregon Ducks had an undefeated regular season and won their first ever Big Ten title. His scouting report, one of the things we're going to talk a lot about today is what he does as a coverage linebacker. He is excellent in coverage. That is his strength, and it's something that the Kansas City Chiefs could really use at that position. We'll explain more and get into the fine details on that here in just a moment. He's got decent eye discipline in zone. He sees very well, and believe me, for a guy that's got 4 eyes and not 20/20 vision, I can certainly respect that his eyes are in the right place. He's physical against the run. This is not somebody that is just a coverage linebacker, that he can do multiple things and help out in a variety of ways. He's a sure tackler as well, somebody that you can count on to put that effort and bring the offensive player down. He does lack some lower body strength, so he will need to hit the weight room a bit and put on some muscle there, but otherwise it adds up pretty well for him. You go over the statistics of what he did at Oregon, and you can see the last 4 seasons, pretty solid track record. As in 2021, he accounted for 48 tackles, 3 TFLs, 1 sack, 1 pass breakup. 2022, he had 62 tackles, 4 TFLs, 2 sacks, 2 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. And then in 2023, that year where he was selected as a second-team All-Pac-12 selection, had 72 tackles, 4 TFLs, 2 pass breakups, and 1 interception. And then last year, his final season with the Ducks, he had 54 tackles, 3 TFLs, 1.5 sacks, 2 pass breakups, and 2 forced fumbles. So pretty consistent throughout his career. But here's what we're talking about when it comes to his ability in coverage. And I know the QB rating looks pretty high at 110.1, but here's what I would point to, folks, is that there were only 23 pass attempts headed his direction. So what that says to me is that he does a really good job of defending things in coverage, of not allowing guys to get open. Now, when they get open, you can see that the QB rating sure is high, the completion percentage is high, but for the most part, he does his job of holding things down there, only giving up 176 yards and a touchdown, and also had 2 pass breakups last season as well. I think he was a steal for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is somebody that I believe, maybe not from day one, but potentially down the line, could be a legit starter for the Kansas City Chiefs. And that coverage skill set is going to be what separates him, what's going to make him stand out and have a role with this Kansas City Chiefs team for many years to come, is what he can do with that coverage skill set. We see when it comes to the linebacker position in the NFL, there are a lot of guys that struggle with coverage. Even the best of the best in this league Some of them are just not good when it comes to pass defense. But that's not the case for Jeffery Bassa, but that's not the only thing he could do. How would you grade the pick of Jeffery Bassa from the Kansas City Chiefs? A, B, C, D, or F? Hindsight being 2020 here. What do you think of the selection? Weigh in and let us know. Folks, want to make sure you're subscribed to the Kansas City Chiefs Report as we cover the Chiefs all offseason long with our daily news and rumors. We also have live shows each and every Tuesday. We're bringing you breaking news, Q&A mailbags, and more. Your one-stop shop for all things Kansas City Chiefs. You ain't alive if you ain't subscribed to the channel. I want to get at least 20 subs off today's video. Jeffrey Bassa wants you to subscribe as well. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV to subscribe now for free. We certainly would appreciate it, and you'll be glad you did. My grade on this was an A, and this is a player that Brett Veach specifically really liked. To kind of give some context here, there was some incredible value for this pick to be made in the 5th round for Bassa when they did, because the talk at that pick was that the Kansas City Chiefs were looking at getting a running back. But the way Bassa fell on the board, they said to themselves, we got to go ahead and take care of this now, and we can take care of the running back situation later. And it worked out pretty good with them getting Rashard Smith in the 7th round anyway, because Bassa had about a 4th-round grade entering the draft. So the fact that he was still available in the 5th round was a big win for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Bassa, he's been involved in the offseason program from rookie minicamp to OTAs to mandatory minicamp and all of that. And although he hasn't been here too long, his teammates are already starting to take notice of how good of a player he is and what he can develop into. In particular, Nick Bolton, the green dot of the Chiefs defense, had this to say on Bassa. He's like a mix between former Chiefs linebacker Willie Gay Jr. that was here and Leo Chenal in terms of just structure-wise in his play style. I think he's done a great job communicating. One of the things that as a linebacker coming in, you know your job is to communicate well. He does that probably as good as anybody, and also talks to the secondary and understands what people are doing behind him. I've had some time to sit down and talk to him a little bit and kind of pick his brain a little bit. And you understand that he's a high IQ guy, a high motor. He's a little bit of a lighter guy, but he can run. He can cover a little bit, so he brings those intangibles to the team we need. So to kind of give a little perspective here, okay, if we're talking a mix of Willie Gay Jr. and Leo Chenal, all right, if that's what we're saying he is, according to Nick Bolton, athletically speaking, that's basically X-Man, okay? I mean, this is a guy built by AI out of a lab or something, because that is a freak of nature if he truly is athletically a combination of those two individuals. And more on his coverage skills in particular. They're very much like a defensive back. And one of the reasons why is because he played some defensive back in college, the safety position, before transitioning over to the linebacker position. You heard from Nick Bolton there of him being vocal and calling things out and communicating with the secondary. Well, he was the green dot on Oregon's defense the past couple of seasons. And so he knows how to communicate, how to lead that defense. And then also seeing from the secondary perspective as well, he can help those guys out, and he can also see for himself when it comes to coverage. So that starts to add up and make sense on that front. Nick Bolton also saying this on Bassa. You can definitely tell he played defensive back in college. We made a joke about it one time because he's out there playing press like a corner. We said we take 31, Jeff Bassa, and put 35, Jalen Watson, in there. Might switch it out a little bit, but yeah, it's been pretty fun, man. He's up there. He likes to play coverage, so that'll be great for us. Now, speaking of Nick Bolton, I love Nick Bolton. You love Nick Bolton. I'm glad that he's back in Kansas City, and it was a great re-signing. I thought it was a very good deal done by Brett Veach and company to bring him back. But the truth of the matter, when it comes to Nick Bolton, as much value as he brings to the Kansas City Chiefs, he is not great in coverage. That is the weakness to his game. And so with that said, I am going to be honest with you. I don't see Nick Bolton taking dramatic improvements when it comes to coverage. That's just a weakness that we have to deal with. That's reality. but there are ways to work around it. That's where Bassa could potentially come in and help fill that gap, whether that's playing alongside Nick Bolton in some coverage downs or maybe even coming in for Nick Bolton potentially. He can make life easier on those passing downs to make up for the loss of sorts when it comes to Nick Bolton of what he does there. Now, I said that I think he's got potential to be a starter at some point. Maybe not this year, but at least down the line. Predict it for me. What do you guys think? Will Jeffery Bassa become a starting linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs at some point in time? Type Y for yes, in for no. Predict it for me in the comments section below. Chiefs Nike shirts are on sale now with free shipping. $10 off the shirts and the free shipping. All sorts of different shapes and sizes to your liking. It is getting hot outside. You're looking for some Chiefs gear. You're looking to wear some T-shirts. Why not get one of these, folks? On sale now at chatsports.com/Chiefs Nike. We also have other Chiefs merchandise available at that same link as well. Go see for yourself now. Chatsports.com/Chiefs Nike to get yours today. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. So what does Bassa's role look like under Spags in this defense? Well, we've talked a lot about coverage today. He'll contribute in coverage downs. I also think he's going to be very involved in film study. He is a film junkie, all right? This guy is going to be at the Oscars someday, knowing every film that's out there, telling us how great, the Da Vinci Code was or something. This guy studies the tape and studies hard, and I think a lot of this first year is going to be just be in the film room, just study things, give us some feedback, see how you can contribute in that way. I think he's going to be a core special teams contributor as well. That'll be great for Dave Toub to have a guy that he can count on that can be very reliable, especially as a sure tackler there. He'll help out in that sense. I also think he's going to provide insurance at the position, okay? We look at this linebacker room, and we mentioned that there's some real depth here. When you talk about Nick Bolton, Leo Chenal, these other guys, Drue Tranquill and others, if something were to happen, an injury of some sorts, Jeffery Bassa can come in, and I think you can still get by with him potentially seeing significant snaps. And then another thing that has been brought up when it comes to Jeffery Bassa, despite him being a rookie and a young guy coming in from Oregon and everything, it's been very known they want him to be a leader in any capacity. And with as vocal as he is and the presence he brings to the table, I expect that he's going to answer that call and he is going to act like a veteran pretty quickly compared to maybe some of his other rookie teammates out there. One thing as well that we've seen from Bassa when it comes to the offseason program is he's picking up things pretty quickly. And you can't say the same thing about every rookie. There was reports, of course, about Noel Williams having his struggles and all that, but Jeffery Bassa is already coming along nicely and adapting to this Chiefs defense. He said this himself. Overall, I feel like I'm catching on pretty well. Honestly, right now, I feel like I'm at a good stage where I can keep going back and looking at notes and looking at the film and saying, okay, I was supposed to do this instead of this, right? So just catching on slowly day by day. To kind of wrap this up, when it comes to Jeffery Bassa, it will be a process. You will need to let him develop and take his time. And I think you will see the fruits of his labor eventually pay off. The results will be there down the line for him to show up and show out and be a success story. And, when you think about the future with some of these linebackers with their contracts coming up here, I think with Bassa, you just stay patient. And maybe he's afforded the opportunity down the line to take on a starting role and potentially replace one of these guys that's there to play alongside Nick Bolton. I would expect him to be, when it comes to the linebacker unit, more of a wide linebacker. I think that's more of his natural position, comparably speaking to the two. But I think he'll be a good fit and a really sneaky good find for the Kansas City Chiefs that they were able to get there in the 5th round. If you enjoyed today's show, you already know what to do. Hit the like button. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time here at the Chiefs Report.